Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show with your host, Shikama. The Nevada governor has just signed a domestic violence prevention bill. Apparently, the governor is going to go around to your house and sit in your living room to make sure that you don't beat your husband or beat your wife. Carson City, Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval has signed a bill aimed at educating the public about domestic violence protection. The Republican governor signed SB 362 into law on Thursday afternoon. The bill was sponsored by Democratic Senator Pat Spearman and allows Nevada's Health and Human Services Department to create an educational program focused on preventing domestic violence. It's part of a state Democratic legislative agenda called the Nevada Blueprint. The measure doesn't allocate any money to the proposed program, but allows it to apply for grants and gifts. The bill passed unanimously out of the Senate and on a 39-3 vote in the Assembly. Now, this bill, I'm sure some feminist or some sort of women's group thought they were actually doing something and got this bill up on the chopping block, and it passed with flying colors because women, vagina, definitely it must be women are all abused, right? You know, that's the logic these days, that a penis means abuse. And they go to a person with a penis and they say, sign this into law. And the person says, are you going to vote for me on my next election? And they go, yes, because we have vaginas. You see how stupid the logic is? Meanwhile, they have it on record 40% of all abuse victims are men. Let me repeat that. 40% of all abuse victims who actually report it are men. I just read a synopsis that reporting to the police about abuse and rape is hard to do for women. Even with free medical care, for everything free, if you show up to the hospital and claim rape, they stop writing everything. They start charging you everything. And from that point till you walk out of the hospital, everything is free. Even with that in place, they don't want the hospital to tell the police. Why? Not because they're afraid that the abuser is going to come into the hospital and beat them up again. The police harass them. This is what they say. This is how they feel. Now, I want you to shine that light on that 40%. Men, do you think if they harass women, sweet, innocent women, how are they going to treat a man that comes into the hospital and says that he was raped, abused by his wife? I think the amount of men who are abused is more like 60% of victims. And that is the conjecture of a lot of other studies, that they said that the margin of error is probably 20%, 30%, meaning 60 to 70% of abuse victims and rape victims are men, and they just don't report it, ever. Now, this particular bill does absolutely nothing. The way it's going to work is that the federal government gives each state money, right? They of course take money from the states. The federal government gives states money. If the state doesn't use it up, it goes back to the federal government. So they have to come up with programs and this and that and the other that are actually going to be used. Stupid politicians, stupid citizens keep coming up with these measures that mean that the state runs more efficiently, and for the state to actually be profitable, although that's the wrong word, but to run efficiently, it means that a lot of the federal government money goes unspent and it gets sent back to the federal government. Now, depending on the politicians who are running your state, that could be a bad thing or it could be a good thing. If they see it as a bad thing and they want all of that federal money, they will keep creating these programs that waste money in order to keep that money. Now, this particular thing is not going to solve any domestic violence problems whatsoever. It doesn't even go to any of the actual programs. It doesn't actually go to any of the departments or agencies within the state. What's going to happen is all of these interest groups are going to apply for the money and get that money. And domestic violence is not going to drop not one iota. That money is simply going to go to those groups, interest groups, and never see the light of day. Now, if you want a solution to domestic violence, I already told you about it in my fatherhood video that none of you saw. And what did I say in that? I said that the study showed that having a biological father with the children in the house completely reduces the potential for the child to end up being an abuser. So while you might not benefit from it, your children will. It was all about the children, the children, the children. This is what your daughter feels. This is what happens to your son. This is what happens to your daughter with the father in the house. Feminism has destroyed the family, and homosexuality has destroyed the family too, because the homosexual says, no, you must identify homosexual if you feel anything at all. Do you know that the federal government and the psychologists in the actual federal government says that before the age of 18, you don't even determine your sexuality. It's only after 18, and even then, maybe 20 to 25 years old, then you determine your sexuality. And then you can actually be asked, what is your sexuality? But for the homosexual agenda, and this is all true, you can go look it up. For the homosexual agenda, they said, if you identify homosexual at 6 years old, you're a homosexual. What does a 6-year-old know about anything? What does a 13-year-old know about anything? I met a guy who says, I'm homosexual. Have you ever had sex? No. Then you're not homosexual. Oh, yes, I am. I'm definitely. No, you're not. Homosexuality is an act. It's not a feeling. It's an actual act. Come back to me when you go through with something. Not that I was trying to encourage him, but you get the point. He says, I can. I'm Mormon. Then you're not homosexual. I definitely am. You've never done anything. No. You've never even confessed your love to any boy. No. Then you're not a homosexual. Get out of here. But for the federal government, you have to be about 25 years old before you are actually determined homosexual. Now, I'm not one of these people who say, oh, God said you can't be homosexual and you're destroying marriage. No, I'm saying that the agenda surrounding this whole mess, yes, there are people who have sex with the same gender, but this whole lobby, and I guarantee you that the lobby is not composed of only homosexual. I bet you the lobby is actually composed of mostly straight people, because there is an agenda within the agenda within the agenda. That's 3 steps down. That's homoception. But they have found that this is destroying little boys' and little girls' minds. First of all, they're not even letting children grow up, or be kids. They're making them grow up early. You have to talk about this. You have to talk about that. You have to identify with this. You have to be free. You have to confess. Confess what? Why? I didn't confess anything when I was 16, 17, 18. I don't have to. I had 5 girlfriends. Not all at once. Don't get excited. I didn't confess anything. How many times have you seen a straight person confess anything? Girl and boy meet, they start dating. That's it. There's the whole deal. Now, I know where the origins of all of that came from, that they had to hide and they had to have these secret clubs that they had to have a special knock on. And this is what I know from the lesbian world. And they had to have a secret knock. And although everybody actually knew about it, but because they kept it secret, nobody ever bothered them. And there was people who beat homosexuals, but there's people who beat paraplegics. There's people who beat black people. There's people who beat white people. There's people who beat Asians. You're not special because somebody beat you. There's douchebags everywhere. Humans are pretty much douchebags. I can attest to that. I'm a douchebag. I'm a big, huge douchebag. I take candy for children. No, I'm not. No, I don't. The kids had their toys in my yard, so we got home and I said, "Are these your toys?" I said, "I'm gonna take them." And they all ran up and got their toys. That's how kids are. Out of sight, out of mind. Oh, I got a bike. Let me go. Oh, forget all of those balls that are in that guy's yard. But this agenda is unnecessary. This whole I need rights and I need this and that and the other and I need to see this person. You know, my uncle has cancer and my people forced me to go see my uncle in a hospital. Why do I want to see him? I don't want to see him. He's sick. He looks terrible. He looks awful. Now, I saw a story of a staff hospital worker who, and I'm sure I said that wrong, who brought a dog, and the dog did more therapy for the people than anybody else. The man was black, and I bet you they felt 10,000 times more for the dog than they did for the worker who would bring him. I guarantee you. And that's why I didn't want to go. But I went anyway. And I only went on visiting hours. I wasn't his immediate family. You know, I'm the nephew. All it does is cause me to cry. I mean, jeez. See somebody with tubes and stuff and in a bed that makes you look like a baby. But anyway, the real solution is putting a father in the home. That's it. That's the solution. You want your boys to grow up to be strong and respectful of women and treat women like ladies, even when they're not ladies. You want your daughter to grow up big and strong. Well, not big and strong, but you want your daughter to grow up like a lady because the biological father has these fatherly tendencies that are going to eke out every time he sees his own flesh and blood, his own daughter, and he's going to treat her like a lady. And this was the problem with the poor back in the day, right? Because they didn't act in a dignified way towards each other in the home. Forget this broken home. They were really concerned with the way the poor acted inside of the home. That the husband didn't treat the wife in the best way. Come here. You didn't have my food. You're good for, saying stuff like that in front of the children. That was their big concern back in the day. We have fallen so far away from that. And they said point blank, getting married transforms a couple. And I've said this over and over and over again. Black people need to get married like their life depended on it. Like their next breath depended on it. Because simply getting married transforms the two humans into this whole other entity. Both partners working, both partners commingling their money. Now, before I finish, I don't want you to mix up your emotions with what I said. I didn't say anything about homosexuality. I talked about the agenda. Make sure when you listen to me, you make sure you understand and hear every word I say. The agenda is horrible. The agenda for feminism is awful. Terrible, horrible. I can't say enough bad about it. The agenda surrounding homosexuality, you're being used, you're being exploited. Same thing with women, you're being used, you're being exploited. There have been women in positions of power that they got on their own in the 1800s, in the 1600s, hell, always 1400s. Why aren't women busting down the chef world? Because they don't want to do that. Why aren't women busting down the construction world? Because they don't want to do that. And then whining about why aren't there more women in this? Why aren't there more women in that? Is doing nothing. Because the individual women don't want this. They shut down men's sports stuff in college because they made a title that says women must have equal participation. Not equal access, equal participation. So if women don't participate in that, that is just wrong-headed. And this is your agenda. This is what people are doing. Literally, so you send your kid to school on a scholarship and the scholarship is over because the women group says there's not enough girls participating in this sport. Your kid now loses his scholarship, can't go to college. Equal participation? No. Equal access. They said that to a little school and they said you must provide equal bathing facilities for the women. And the school said, we don't have that kind of, this is not that type of school. We don't have that kind of money. Our entire athletic program is through donations from the alumni. The alumni built the entire sports program, everything here you see. The scholarships to go to the school is funded by donations from alumni. The school doesn't pay anything. That doesn't matter. You have to build equal facilities for the girls. No, we can't do it. We don't have it. We don't have such money. and no alumni donates for that, then we're going to shut down your whole athletic program. That's your female agenda. And I keep telling all of my viewers, don't call yourself feminist because you're not understanding what's going on. They're not fighting for equality. They're fighting for dominance. They even had a complete sign up and registration and all this sort of stuff at the beginning of the year because they were going to really push women into swimming. And they got 3 women out of thousands and thousands of women that come to the school to sign up. Because girls don't go to college for sports. They just don't. I know you see these girls in Olympics. Those are the few that are interested. You don't have women in these areas, not because of quote unquote patriarchy. You don't have it because women are not interested in it. Girls are not interested in it. They tried to force little girls to play with boy toys. And I don't mean my kind. And they were not interested whatsoever. They still went over by choice and played with the little dollies, the pink dresses, and all that sort of stuff. They tried to get the boys to play with girl toys, and they weren't interested. Even when they didn't have anything, the boys constructed stuff of their own that was boy-like to play with. It's as if the child invented stuff in his own mind, engineered stuff. That wasn't even that the testers didn't even think about. There's things that boys do, the things that girls do. And I led off by saying 40% of abuse victims are men. That means that father in the home also affects daughter, not just son. And this is exactly what that study found. You can see it all, hear it all in my video about fatherhood. 40% of abuse victims are men. Ergo, vis-a-vis, that study said that girls who have fathers in the home, biological fathers in the home, don't grow up to be abusers themselves. The solution is father. The solution is father. That's it. None of these programs about spending billions of dollars to go to some special interest group that's not even going to hand out the money or anything, nor are they going to do anything. Not one drop of abuse is going to stop, or domestic violence. Domestic violence can happen between brand new boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, like second date, third date. I just read a piece about a woman who traveled to another city to meet a man she had just met as a sort of vacation. She got to the hotel, went in the room, and within 30 minutes, she said he freaked out and just started beating the hell out of her and had a gun. Why did he have a gun? Because he was a police officer. Now, obviously, a man snapping and beating the hell out of a woman holding a gun to her, there's something wrong with that man. And I guarantee you, if you look into it, he didn't have a father at all. I want to encourage black people to get married. If I can get that back to 60%, back. All these people talking about slavery and all this stuff, you're wrong-minded. In the 20s, 30s, and 40s, black people got married like it was going out of style. I mean, it was just everybody was married. Everybody had a 2-parent home in the black community. We had our own businesses, everything. And what happened to us? The Democrats. The Democrats. You all keep saying, why do you hop on the Democrat? The Democrats have destroyed African Americans. Destroyed. What they couldn't accomplish with the KKK, redlining, gerrymandering, Jim Crow, what they could not accomplish with that. Remember, all of that was in place in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. All of that was in place, hanging us. What they couldn't accomplish with that, they did with the welfare state. Getting black women to abort like it's going out of style. Murder their own unborn children. You have murdered 100% of the black population. We would be at 30%, 40% of the population today. I want you to sit back and think about that. If the country were 60% white and 40% black today, the Democrats have accomplished what they could never accomplish by stringing black people up in trees, terrorizing them with the KKK, not handing out business loans. We made it through all of that. Forget slavery, we made it through that. And there was a new impetus to incarcerate the black man the same time. And here we are today, broken homes, nothing. And we have black women who are convinced that the black man is the devil. We have black men convinced that the black woman is the devil. Wake up and smell the KKK. He's standing right outside your door, shaking your hand, wearing a business suit, and from a line from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he's dripping honey in your ear, all while stabbing you in the back. And who said that? The evil guy in the Lord of the Rings. Don't trust that guy. He'll drip honey in your ear and stab you in the back. These are the Democrats. Oh, we're going to do so much for you. I want you to, anytime a politician says he's going to do something for you, first of all, it's your money to begin with. Put this all in the correct frame of mind. There is nothing that a politician can do for you other than provide a military that's, first of all, not on U.S. soil to protect you from invaders, not to go into somebody else's country and kill off your children that you put into the military. Protect you from invaders. When's the last time we had an invasion? Have we ever? In fact, the United States have been a bully since after the Civil War. No, Revolutionary War. From then on, we've been a bully. Bullied the Indians, slaughtered them. Mexicans slaughtered them. Yeah, we slaughtered the Mexicans too. Everybody ignores that part. We slaughtered black people. Bully, 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 bully. Manifest destiny. God gave us the right to slaughter all of these people, and we've been doing it ever since. So if a politician says he's going to do something for you, I want you to look him dead in the eye and say, you are a liar. You can't do anything for me. It's my money to begin with. Democrats aren't doing anything for black people. Welfare is nothing more than stealing from a whole bunch of people and giving it to somebody else. When, if the people actually had that money to give, they would do a much better job. Shaniqua with the 3 kids would be told, Shaniqua, you need to straight up and fly right, treat your children right, and find yourself a man, find yourself a right man. And we would clean up all of this drugs out of the government brings the drugs in. Everybody wants to ignore that part. Oh, those black people do all that drugs. The government brought the drugs into. You heard the Iran-Contra said that the government brought the drugs in to fund their Iran-Contra scandal. Free Ray Rick Ross did not invent crack. He perfected the sale of it, created a drive-through for it, had multiple houses for it, but he didn't create the crack. He didn't invent it. The drugs are brought into the entire system, into the black neighborhoods on purpose. For a twofold purpose. They said that they had a big shootout, and the shootout ended up with the people that they shot were actually federal agents. They weren't just they weren't just regular white boys. Anyway, the Nevada governor signed a domestic violence prevention bill. That's wrong-headed. It's not going to prevent any domestic violence. And the answer to domestic violence is having a biological father in the home. That means, women, 70% of you who get divorced, that means you can't be divorcing your husband, the father of your children, because he's not paying attention to you 100% of the day. If you want equality, you have to be acting like an equal human. That means you can't act like a child. You have children. You need to be an adult as well. I know 60% of divorces are for nothing, over nothing, about nothing. And then you blame it on this stuff that Hollywood has told you. We just grew apart, so we got a divorce. You grew apart, so you got a divorce? Was there something going on? And they keep telling you don't marry for love. Love has nothing to do with it. Love is not a reason. What's the definition of love? There is no definition of love. He makes me feel giddy. Some bad bacon will do that for you too. Or good bacon for that matter. Have an actual reason to get married. I keep saying, have a reason. He comes from a good family. He comes from a good home. He's a good guy. That's the guy you marry. You don't marry some guy who has his pants dragging down the street, butt hanging out, does 100 push-ups every night. That's not a reason to get married to somebody. Does he have a degree? Does his family own a business? There you go. Is he studying to be a doctor? That's the reason to get married to that Negro. White women are always catching all the good black men because you want a thug. You're slipping. You have absolutely no game. You have no plan. This is life we're talking about. We're not talking about this as a dress rehearsal. This is real life. He's got tattoos. He's He's a horrible person, but he treats me right. What, really? That's just a matter of time and how much alcohol he has in his system. When he smacks you, then you're going to, oh, he was nice before. I know he'll be nice again. No, he's gotten tired of you and he's done with you. And you dropped your drawers at the drop of a hat. You have to be a lady and think like a lady. A lady was actually pretty wise in her choice of suitors. That means men she might potentially marry. And you have to look at what is going to be a good husband, what is going to be a good father. That's what you have to think. This is life. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.